Welcome back to Flannelgraph Basics with By Design Visuals. My name is John Moline. I'm your host again for this segment. One of the last times that we were together, we've talked about how to cut out your basic background set. We talked about how to set that up on your Flannelgraph board, put it on your easel, and how it was designed, the different backgrounds were designed to be able to go over the water and create a beautiful scene. There are actually 6 different background sets in the Genesis series. We've looked at some of those. We looked at the scenic overlay set in one of our previous videos. I showed you how to cut that out. But there are 2 indoor scenes which you'll find in the Patriarch series. I want to talk about those. I'm not going to show you how to cut those out because the principles for cutting out the meadow background and the principles for cutting out anything that we did before in the scenic overlay set, you already know how to do that. It's simply a matter of applying it and doing it. So I want to go through relatively quickly the different backgrounds that we have, show you their design, why they are the way they are, and show you how they work together. This is the nighttime sky. We've talked about this before. What you don't realize is this is actually 2 different scenes in one. You'll remember, hopefully you remember, that for the first 3 days of creation, there were no sun, moon, and stars. The sun, moon, and stars were actually created on day 4. And so if you want a nighttime sky without the moon and without the stars, you use it this way. However, on day 4, and in many of our stories, we use it this way. And there's a beautiful, very, very realistic scene of the moon and the stars and the water. Remember when we cut our meadow background, remember those Velcro strips, those hook and eye strips in the back that hold the Flannelgraph on. Simply snug that up. There you go. Now you have a nighttime sky with the meadow background. Let me take this off. Now I'm going to go through some of the overlays that you should have cut out if you've cut out everything in your scenic overlay set. These can be used in various combinations. Here's your cliff background. Goes right along the bottom. You can simply run your hand over it and it'll stay right where it is, right? Your cliff background. You also have your road. In many stories, the people are actually going somewhere, and so we want your eye to be able to travel along a line and understand it gives the story natural movement. And the figures can go alongside this road and they will look very, very realistic. In the video where we cut out biblical figures, you will have noticed when you cut them out, some of the figures are full size. They're about 11, 12 inches. Some of the figures are actually of a very much smaller size. Larger figures, of course, would be closer up. Smaller figures would be a little bit farther away. And we've already calibrated those figures for the sizes that are needed in each individual story. You don't have to do that like you do in many other sets. We've already done that for you. So that's part of the design. So you can see how this works in combination. If I were to put the wilderness background up here, which I will in just a little bit, all of these different overlays, the road, the cliff, the rock formation, which I'm going to show you now, all of them work with the meadow. They work with the wilderness. It doesn't make any difference. They all work together. You can use them in many, many different combinations. This is our rock formation background. Once again, you'll notice as I'm taking these up and putting them down that the printed part of the Flannelgraph of the background and the overlay is always to the inside. Protect it, and remember to keep your hands washed. Here's our rock formation. This is used for many different stories. When Moses strikes the rock and brings out water, when Abraham offers Isaac on the altar. This is used also, it's over to the side, but it's also used for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Here's our wilderness background. I'm not going to put this one up, but it works the same way as the meadow does. And as I mentioned, the road works with this, the cliff works with this, the rock formation works with this. they all work together. Your rocks, your plants, the mountains, they're already on there. They're not individual pieces. Now let me take this off because there's some specialty ones that I want to show you. Look what happens with this. Let me put this on here. Then we'll put its matching set on here. And just like that, you can create a very, very realistic river. Okay? If you don't want a river, if you need a lake, you can simply take that one off, and there you go. In the New Testament stories, there's actually another special overlay which makes a very, very beautiful scene of the Sea of Galilee. Use the same process for cutting that out as you did with your scenic backgrounds. Now there's two indoor backgrounds that I want to show you very quickly. One is called the throne room background. The other is simply called the indoor background. And what you'll notice, once again, I don't cut any of the corners. I leave them on there. Now, I can either put this over the water and sky, as I'm doing right now, and it works just fine, or if this is the only one that I'm using for that particular story, I can take the water sky background off and I can mount this throne room on there, and that works very, very nice as well. This comes with a number of different pieces. Comes with a door. Comes with two windows. Some scenes are at night. Some scenes are during the daytime. Okay? So you can make this look very realistic. This can be used for a wealthy person's home. In the New Testament, this throne room background is actually used for the temple. And there are some special pieces that transform it into a very, very realistic temple. Let me take these off and show you the actual throne room when it's all set up, what that looks like. It involves a beautiful velvet curtain. Involves the throne area itself. A number of different figures with Pharaoh or King David or different ones sitting on the throne. There's a large pillar. And there's three smaller pillars that you can use. So you can use any variety that you want to make a variety of different scenes. I'll just put this one up here. I think you get the idea. So as I mentioned, this is used primarily, the throne room as it is for Old Testament stories. In the New Testament, there is an entirely different set of pieces that go along with this that transform this into the temple. But there's another indoor scene, and that's simply what it's called. It's called the indoor scene. It's similar to the throne room in that, just like the throne room, it has that extra white fabric on the top and on both sides. So you can use it just like this to either go over the water and sky if you're using it in a combination, or you can take the water sky off and you can put either the indoor or the throne room on the board and attach it. The reason we don't have white on all four sides as we do with the water sky is because in many scenes we put it right over the top of the water sky, and we don't want you to have to take your board off and take it all apart to be able to use these backgrounds, and so we left it off the bottom. That way, even with it mounted on the easel, you can use these just fine. Now here's something rather unique. One of the questions that I asked myself a number of years ago, what do you do when you want to go from inside to outside? but you don't want to take everything off your board and put everything back up. And I thought about that for a long time. I asked the Lord to help me to figure it out, and He did. One morning, just as I was coming out of sleep, God gave me this image. You can take a look at this. Are we inside or outside? You say, well, John, it's pretty obvious. We're inside, daytime or nighttime. Also pretty obvious. It's in the daytime. What if I want to go outside? Well, I can take one of these miniature backgrounds and I can place it precisely along the long wall, and your eye will tell you immediately that now you've moved from inside this house to outside this house. You can use your pillars in combination with this. You can use this a lot of different ways. There's 4 of these backgrounds. This is daytime with the wilderness. There's a miniature nighttime sky you can use. There is a nighttime sky with the meadow that you can use. And there's also daytime with the meadow that you can use as well. And these work in combination with the throne room background and with the indoor background. It's very, very versatile. There's also, in the New Testament version, there is, once with the temple area, there's a miniature background that transforms you immediately into the court of the Gentiles. It looks very realistic. And with this indoor scene in the New Testament, this transforms into the synagogue, a teaching area of the Jews, or into a wealthier person's home. So this is very, very versatile. 2 more backgrounds I want to show you very quickly. Both of these are specialty backgrounds. I've mentioned this one before, but this is the heaven background. We created this, as I said, for one story. The story about the creation of the spirit world and the fall of Lucifer into sin, where he became Satan and the enemy of God. This is a very, very unique background. No one but By Design Visuals has this. There's an entire story that's been written from different portions of Scripture that go along with this. You have your different angels that are available with this. Different angelic figures. Going there very, very nicely. Different groups of angels that you can put on this. And you simply put them on, and we show you how to do this in progression. So you put them on as you tell the story. And on these go. So as you tell this story, you put these different figures on in a very specific progression, and I'll teach you that. Here's actually the original figure then of Lucifer, son of the morning. And as he ascends the throne of God and wants to take God's place, we have a smaller version there. That's the heaven background. And there's one last one that I want to show you. That's the cave background. The cave background is the most versatile background that we have. You use it just as it is, as a cave, or there are a couple other pieces that you can add to it and make it look very, very different. You can cover up that opening and make it into a dungeon, make it into a prison, like that, or you can make it into a prison or into a dungeon. Philippian jailer uses this image. Daniel in the lion's den uses the previous image. If you want to give your prisoner some light, you can add a window. But this is used in many, many different ways. In the New Testament, there's an image that goes over this opening. It's nighttime. It has a view looking out at Bethlehem at night. The birth of Jesus Christ takes place using this background. The burial of Jesus Christ takes place using this background. The resurrection of Jesus Christ takes place using this background. This is the most versatile background that we have. Fact is, for the New Testament, there are a set of images that transforms this background into a very, very poor person's home that looks very, very realistic. There is hardly a biblical story that you can imagine that you cannot use these combinations of backgrounds and overlays and create exactly the scene that you want. And we have all of that set up for you. Hope you'll join us next time when we continue with By Design Visuals, Flannelgraph Basics. Thanks for watching.